Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with a review of the Transformers Universe 2008 Ultra Class Powerglide. Yes, this is a review that is a blast from the past, and I'm talking about it here today because I traded this off to someone, Potato, for a few other figures that you could see in an earlier video I posted to the channel. And I just wanted to get a review of him out before I sent him off. So here he is in his 2008 glory. So, as is standard for Powerglide, he turns into an A10 Warthog, or a slight approximation of it with some minor details. But as was the aesthetic for the Universe line, since the movies had just come out, everything was more realistic, at the very least in terms of colors. So that's why here, the Powerglide would traditionally be predominantly red. Here he is predominantly this off-white color with just red highlights thrown about in homage, I guess, to the original toy, or the original colors, I should say. But let's get in here and take a look at this guy. Like I said, he is predominantly off-white, but you do have a lot of nice detail work on the sides, including some panel molding, some mechanical bits and whatnot, some nice red around this front end vent there, translucent orange cockpit that you can see kind of like a translucent orange seating in there with a display, which is pretty nice. Bit of gray trim around that window. Some letters JJM7128. I don't know what those are supposed to mean. Same with the B-12129 on there. I'm not necessarily sure what those are supposed to be. If you know, tell me down below in the comments. You got some red around this engine or weapon system. I guess these are supposed to be weapon systems underneath the arms, even though they're clearly his robot mode arms because his fists are sticking out right there. They could have hid that better, I guess. But this bit kind of looks like a weapon assemblage thing, and then there's some neat detailing here. There's a bit of red trim on the wings, which again are nicely detailed, with this silhouetted red Autobot symbol with some wing details, some like wing kind of things on like butt there, like seem to be typical on a bunch of flying Decepticon symbols on the wings, as well as the letters 9, the symbols, I should say 9G, because that's a number, not a letter. Just more detail back here. Or translucent orange that is used for a cockpit is used for the back of the engines, and it kind of simulates like the thrust, as well as a bit of red back there as well. And then the tail fins have red, again detailed with M1051 on both sides, and again those letters on all those sides as well. And then underneath you see the rest of Powerglide. There's his head hiding, all the way up there, as well as his chest, and you could probably figure out how this is going to work. Sort of. There's a few tricks to it that makes it a bit interesting to transform. As far as accessories, he only comes with this minigun, which turns around to form a blaster, which has a firing missile here. You just press down here and boom, that missile fires. For vehicle mode, it should be stored like this, so the minigun detailing on the front sticks out, similar to how Powerglide had an off-center weapon on his original toy and design. Though doing this is the only place to store the missile, and due to the stuff underneath, it kind of bends with the rest of the blaster, so I do not like that. But it hasn't warped for me because I've stored this. That's the way I've stored it for at least a few years now, and it's not bad. It's not hurting it too much, from what I can tell. And for other features, it has Powerglide does have landing gear that folds out from underneath the wings, like so, and then this one at the front end here. And yeah, you can prop him up on landing gear if you want. They do have all have rolling wheels. However, they're very small and they don't work particularly well. Also, it's kind of weird because these like stick down so much further than these. So that's why I don't actually haven't used the landing gear on him, because it's just angles forward, and especially if you have the weapon stored on him, he sits pretty flatly on the ground. So I do not mind. Another cool thing about this figure, I think this is the first figure I've reviewed that has this. He actually has light and sound. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong. But this figure definitely does have light and sound. Because it was 2008 and they could afford to put that into toys of a certain size. So if you just press this orange button here, you're going to hear 3 different noises, and the cockpit and the engines are going to light up. The first one is a jet power-up noise. And that second one is a jet swooping noise. And then the third one is him firing his machine gun. And that will go as long as you hold the button. The lights were not as strong because I have lights on in here, but they are some good lights. Some very nice lights. And actually, let's see how it looks if I turn this off. Oh, wow, that's dark. Yeah, you can see those lights. Cool. They can be very bright. It's just under these lighting conditions, they're not so strong. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Powerglide in his alternate form. So let's take a look at some size comparisons. Here he is next to Titans Return Legends class Bumblebee and Deluxe class Chrome Dome, Voyager class Megatron, Leader class Six Shot, and Combiner Wars Powerglide, who has become my Powerglide for my shelf. And with that out of the way, let's get him into his robot mode. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up here and pull this section apart. It's just these 2 pegs going into those 2 holes there. And then he's going to fall apart a bit. So we're going to have some work to do. Then you're going to come up here and fold these tail fins down so they'd be situated like that. You're going to fold them in like that, and then fold them up like that, and like that. And we're going to then we're going to come down here, I should say, and we're going to move this panel and untab it with that tab going into that slot right there. And then this whole section is going to rotate around like so. And you're probably going to hit the button doing so. And then you can fold this panel up with that tab going into that slot right there. Like so. Next thing you're going to do is you are going to come to the sides and rotate these sections around. Rotate the entire wing. You can see that they're locked using those triangles, and you're just going to move that around until it locks into the other triangle. And do the same on the other side. Just lock that in like so. And then, well, I should have removed this first. We should have started with that. But you remove that. And then you're going to fold this up. And this bit is going to lock into that hole right there. And when you do that, you're going to hear the transformation sound, which is really cool. It's activated by just pressing that button, so you can even do it in midst of transformation. But as you hear it, closing it up has it doing the upward noise, and closing it down does the backwards noise, or the robot mode noise, I should say. The vehicle mode noise, because robot mode transformation noise, vehicle mode transformation noise. That's what I meant to say in the first place. I shouldn't have made it so convoluted. But continuing on. Then we're going to come here and we're going to rotate the wings down at this angle with the rest of the body. So as this tab right there can fold into that slot right there. Fold into, fit into, I should say. But we are going to fold this up to get that tab to fit. And we'll repeat that on the other side. Rotate and fold that up like so. Oh, and when this is down, there's this groove hole that fits into, it's going to be hard to see, but that grooved bit right there. And then you just undo it by folding this up. You don't even need to particularly untab it. It just kind of sits there in vehicle mode. But anyway, the arms are going to be sitting in that position. So all you're going to do is rotate them down and then slide the landing gear forward to reveal the hand, like so. Do that on the other side. Rotate, slide that out. Come on, get out there. There you go, all the way out. And then we'll actually just fold this back down on the back like so. And we can fold this bit up, and that's just gonna, this bit's gonna just go into that hole right there to help lock the lower abs in. And now for the legs, all you're gonna do is you're gonna fold them down, rotate 180 at the waist, extend the legs so as the knees appear, fold the kneecaps out, split the legs, rotate them at the biceps, not the biceps, at the thighs, I should say. Flip the feet out, and there's the legs. And once I get that wing back in together, next thing you're going to do is fold the head up and rotate it. And there you have Powerglide in his robot mode. And he is quite a nice figure. Pretty large fellow, again, ultra class in 2008. They were able to afford it. He's very, very top, large. His torso, he's got a lot of going on in his torso and his limbs. His arms, his legs aren't terribly small. His arms are kind of terribly small, though the legs, just how they are not going to be able to, don't particularly allow him to stand too well. And he's got a bit of a backpack going on, but not disgustingly terrible, but still noticeable. But getting a closer look at the figure. Let's do that. He's got a very nice head sculpt going on. Very red head, silver faceplate, and some eyes that are red. And we'll get into that in a bit as well. He's got gray on his forehead and on the vents on his cheeks. He's got his Autobot symbol on his chest and that gray panel. But if you flip this up, and I'll mention this now so I don't forget, you flip that up, he has a heart molded into his chest there. Reference to the episode The Girl Who Loved Powerglide, where he opened his chest and showed that there was a heart underneath it in LED lights. Interesting little touch, gotta say. The jet engines end up facing the opposite way on his chest. He's got this gray area here. His arms, the wings fold up against the engines, just like fold up against the sides, I should say, like the original toy do, which is nice. And then he's got his arms, which have detail, and there's a little bit of black on the upper arm and a little bit of red around the wrist. And then you just have the landing gear on there, and you have some pretty simple closed fists going on there. And the legs, same off-white as the rest of the figure, a bit of gray at the thighs, bit of gray on the knee pads, detail, red around the feet, and yeah, and that's Powerglide for you. As for articulation, his head can rotate a full 360 degrees. The arms are able to rotate a full 360 degrees with a ratchet there. Arms are able to bend out that far, though not quite 90 degrees, but it's what they can do. As well as they have a bicep swivel allowing 360 degrees of rotation. Ratcheted elbow bend allowing 90 degrees of bend at that joint. Ratcheted raised rotation that was needed for the transformation. Ratcheted hips that allow him to bend that far, his legs to bend that far forward and that far back and that far out. He has a thigh swivel, 360 degrees rotation, knee bend allowing 90 degrees of rotation. The knee panels are able to move in and out, though they should be in one position for the alternate mode. And then the feet are able to bend that far back because of transformation, and this is probably where they're going to stay most of the time, and they can do a little more forward. Big thing though with the articulation is that while posing this guy, this is probably the pose you're going to have him in most of the time, especially with the legs, because the first ratchet for the hips is all the way out there. So if you want to have him a slightly spread pose, that's where his legs are going to be. There's absolutely no in between there, and that's really unfortunate, and honestly one of my big problems with this guy. That spread is nice. Like you can get him to stand pretty nicely. It's just his thighs are going to be like, he's just going to be like, looks like he's going to be holding him like like he's got to go to the bathroom or something. Yeah. But besides that, the tabs for the wings don't work perfectly, so they'll kind of just end up slipping out if you're just messing around with them. The right arm's fine. The left arm's a little looser. And proportions are a little screwy with this guy, and also this bit here is awkward because then you just have this panel that's closing that up, this panel that's closing that up, and then this huge hinge that's not being covered by anything. So like his chest is just awkward to say, yeah, that's just a bit awkward. But going to his accessories, he can hold his weapon. He can wield it with the blaster side out, so he can pew pew, bang bang. Speaking of pew pewing and bang banging, since this section, the tails section, now rests on top of the button. I'm not sure if you can see it in the lighting, but the button is right there. You can press this section down. You can press this section down. Hold on a second. What the? Give me a moment here, folks. Sorry about that. I did leave the batteries in him, and I did clean them out to get him working, but it seems the clean wasn't perfect, so he's still a little finicky. But what I wanted to show you was his lights and sounds in his robot mode, which by pressing this back bit here has him do his machine gun noise, and just like in vehicle mode, it lasts as long as you hold that button down. And when he does that, his the engine on his chest, as well as the back cockpit light up, as well as his eyes. Though I don't know if you can see that, so I'm going to turn the lights off again and show you that. It's really cool when there's not substantial bright lights going on. But yeah, that's all there is to say about Powerglide. So in his robot mode, so let's get into some robot mode size comparisons. Here he is with Legends class Bumblebee and Deluxe class Chrome Dome, Voyager class Megatron and Leader class Six Shot, Legends class Powerglide, and the channel's mascots Soundwave and Wheeljack. Overall, Universe Powerglide is a nice figure, a nice large figure. The lights and sounds are fun, especially in an area where we are not, we do not have toys that do that at regular retail. It's like a special, like kind of class, and usually a movie tie-in or something. But while still cool and still nice to look at in vehicle mode, the robot mode is awkward, to say the least. Just the proportions and how the chest holds. But overall, it's a nice figure for that era, especially for what era it was and for the price it was too. I enjoyed it. I don't enjoy it enough to think I should keep it, but I enjoyed it. And if you find interest on it, eBay's probably your best bet, or your local convention that might sell action figures. But anyway, that's my review on the Universe Ultra Class Powerglide. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Also, please consider donating on my Patreon page to help support the channel. All the links will be in the description below. Thanks for tuning in, and this is SoundJack signing off.